Minorities of Reddit, what experience was so unbelievably racist, to the point where you weren't even mad, but just confused? In Parker, Colorado, my coworker and I, both half black, found a woman's car keys, and when we returned them to her, her response was, "Oh my god. Thank you so much, Mr. Black Man." We both just looked at each other so confused and then laughed at how ridiculous the situation was. In Korea, my other half is Korean. I went to a bar in Itaewon with my half black and Korean friends. Itaewon is known for having a lot of non-Korean visitors. At one bar we went to, they had a BOGO shot deal. So my friend asked the bartender if we could get the deal in English. The bartender immediately got an attitude and said that the shots were only available after 10 PM and they're for Koreans only. So my friend looks at me and her sister, then back at the bartender and starts speaking in Korean saying, "Well, we are Korean. Honestly, our moms are Korean. So we'll be back at 10 for the shots. Okay." The bartender was visibly annoyed and just waved her hand like, "Okay, whatever. Still got our free shots though. Mr. Black Man. Bring me a dream. Pom 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 pom. Make him the whitest that I've ever seen." I was hanging outside a bar with my current boyfriend and a bunch of other people when a homeless woman sauntered up and said to my boyfriend, "Do you like sleeping with that cook with her sideways vagina?" Everyone went quiet and she just walked away. The weird bit was that I was the only person there that didn't know that the word was a slur. So I just stood there really lost after hearing some really old to me racism. Sideways vagina, that's when you know you've hit the real old school racism. When it includes rumors that your anatomy is completely different from normal human expectations. Like the old rumors that Jews have horns, etc. My downstairs neighbor / friend, who is Jewish, got asked if she had horns by her new roommate when she started college. I was gobsmacked. I'd never heard of such a thing. I'm Jewish and was legit asked this when I started college. I went to school in a very rural area in a state with very few Jews, far away from my bubble of Jewish people, and I was still shocked I was asked this question. To be fair, that question should shock anyone. It's so mind-blowingly dumb. I have a few, but the one I was most confused about happened when I was at the mall. I'm a dark-skinned black woman and I live in Canada. Even though it's a predominantly white country, black people do exist, and it's very multicultural and multiracial, so this incident can't even be thrown to a never seen a black person territory. So, I was at the mall with my sister going down the escalator and there was this white woman behind me holding a coffee in her hand. So as we're going down I feel a light touch on my back and I turn around and she just looks at me in shock. I realize she was trying to touch my skin. This is not that uncommon as many people touch me or my hair without my consent, which is another story entirely. I'll let it go cause I didn't want to assume anything and it could have been an innocent touch. So I turn around and all of a sudden I feel hot coffee on my back. This woman poured her coffee on my back intentionally. At first I thought it was accidental, so before she says anything, I started to reassure it's okay, because who would purposely pour coffee on another person? But she just keeps looking at the place she poured the coffee, just repeating, "Wow, I've never seen skin that dark. Wow, wow, look at how it slides down. So soft. Wow." And then it clicks, she poured it intentionally to see how my skin would react to the coffee. This incident still shocks me today, and I just remember thinking, did that just happen? OMG. This is so creepy. I feel like you got away from some creepy skin suit lady Silence of the Lambs shit. WTF. It was definitely ducked up. I still don't understand it. Some people actually think that black people don't feel pain. Didn't they hear the song about the chocolate rain? I mean, some stay dry, but others feel the pain. Clearly it mean hot chocolate burns them, and coffee must be at least 80% the same. So I'm Filipino and my coworker once asked me if Asians could just hear really well. It took me a minute to understand what she was referring to. She thought that because Asians have small slanted eyes, that it meant our sight is impaired. And since one of our senses were impaired, obviously the other senses got a boost. Edit, because it keeps coming up. I would just like to clarify that she wasn't being malicious. She was learning. She just put some random dots together and somehow came to that conclusion. She asked me because she wanted an Asian person to weigh in. Am I the right type of Asian? Absolutely not. But that's what made it funnier. This unbelievably ignorant and racist incident happened over 3 years ago. We talked about it being racist. She apologized. And then we laughed about it. I still laugh about it sometimes. And I hope you guys find the humor in it too. Huttle all Asians are daredevil. /s. I, Korean American, have almost a reversal of this. Way back in the early 90s, 4th grade, a classmate asked me, how do you see anything out of those eyes? I didn't understand the level of ignorance at the time, so I told him I don't know what he's asking me. I knew a guy in preschool. He was at the time my best friend. After I changed schools at the end of the year, we lost touch, because how are 4 yo kids gonna keep in touch? A few years later, I was like 11. I went to a day camp, and lo and behold, he was there. I recognized him, but he didn't. I went over to talk to him, and one of the first things he tells me is that he isn't friends with NS. It didn't make me mad or disappointed, just confused that someone who was my best friend could one day turn around and become so overtly racist. That's heartbreaking. I was asked to sing at a graduation event in college. The director of the faculty sent me at least 10 voice messages telling me what he wanted me to sing. It was just different forms of something black. Like the first 2 audios he suggested like 10 black artists. Then he said I should sing something from a black city I'm not from. Then he said something about how it should honor my roots. Then he said he wanted me to sing something soulful. Then he went back to mention other black cities he assumed my family was from. By the end of it, I was so confused. You should have sung Paint It Black or Man in Black by Johnny Cash. Nah, he should have gone for the whitest thing possible. Like showing up with a polka band or something. The complete Weird Al discography. In high school someone told me my skin was the same color as diarrhea. Because I'm light skinned in a Latin country I didn't even recognize my black heritage at the time. So I just took it as a joke and ignored the embarrassment I felt. Ugh, what an asshole. I see what you did there. Back when I was in middle school, I would get insulted and harassed almost daily by this upperclassman when I would walk home. He would constantly yell a colorful variety of slurs targeted towards Jewish people. What confused me though, is that I'm not Jewish, like, at all. I'm incredibly pale and covered head to toe in freckles. My hair was almost red in middle school. Still one of the strangest things I have ever experienced. Edit. I should clarify that I'm aware there are Jewish people that are ginger or redheads. I was mainly trying to, in a brief way, say that I don't exactly physically fit the racist stereotype of Jewish people. Maybe he thought you looked like Kyle from South Park. IDK racists are weird. That's actually pretty plausible. Went to a bar while back visiting my hometown. Small town in the Midwest. Drunk. Angry hillbilly looks at me and says filthy wetback. The brazenness took me off guard. So I wasn't even offended. After the situation sank in, I got my friends and we left. Because who knows what a racist pose and his friends might try to pull if we hang out too long. Also, Imation. So if Hez not even smart enough to call me a Ching-chan, Hez probably more dangerous than a normal racist. That last part was funny as hell and 100% correct. No telling what a true dumbass will do. Okay, I'm a 17-year-old half-black male and I'm at the counter at McDonald's, taking orders and such, and then this old guy comes up to the counter to order. This was a week after Kobe Bryant's death. I'm not exactly a sports person, but it's important to the story, so I do the usual hi sir, how is your day going? And what happened next was the most surreal customer experience I've ever had. He goes behind the counter and puts his hand on my shoulder and asks, "Yeah, Kobe fan?" Not really thinking, because this creepy old dude is right behind the counter. I respond with a confused yes. He goes on to say, "Oh, I could tell by the color of your skin I was really uncomfortable, and I nudged over for my coworker to save me, and she luckily comes to my rescue by saying that I needed to go sweep and that she'd finish the order." That is still my weirdest customer experience to date. I have a feeling that will be your weirdest customer experience ever, Jude. You could remove the word costumer and it would most likely still be true. I removed the word costumer and it didn't change anything. Try replacing it with the word anesthesiologist. I'm a black woman. This instance happened when I was in middle school. I think it was in 2011 more specifically. At the time I lived 2 streets over from the middle school. So I walked to and from the back door of the school every day. In order to get to the street my house was on, I had to walk past the baseball field where the closest high school baseball team would practice after the high school day was out. They were out of class and practicing before middle school was released from class every day. Anyway, when walking home they would usually ignore me and let me mind my own business. Then one day, when I was walking home, almost every single one of the team yelled NR at me repeatedly. I remember them doing that for several days, maybe more than a week, before I decided to just take the long way around the other side of the school to walk home. Of course it was hurtful and shocking, but I had been called it before, and in the area that I lived it was common. However, what confused me was that the team was entirely white except for one black guy, who had joined in with calling me the slur with his white teammates. I remember seeing him say it and not understanding why he would call another black person that word with the hard R. To this day I wonder whether it's because he felt that he would be retaliated against by the team if he didn't join in. Whether he just found it funny or whether he just wanted to fit in with them. I never told any of my family about it, though we all have shared other stories of when we've faced racism. This is heartbreaking, horrible, and then made worse by his choice. Brown guy. Driving through a one-horse town with my ex-neo-Nazi friend and his dying pitbull Spike. We stop at a bar at 11 AM for a couple road sodas. My friend goes in alone and comes out with 2 tall boys shaking his head. I ask why, and he says the first thing the bartender asked him when he walked in was, "Who's that colored ducker with you?" This was in Colorado. Literal translation equals colored. "That's my boyfriend, bitch. Can I get those sodas?" Haha, that's absolutely something he would have said. He loved normalizing playfully queer behavior and messing with homophobic or just sheltered, uneducated and ignorant people. He called everyone big sexy and made you feel like the most important person in the world whenever you were around him. I can't help but notice this is written in the past tense. Is your buddy still around? Okay, I'm actually sad now. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.